Europe to be strong and that Britain's referendum decision has hurt Europe and Russia. He also refuted the idea that President Putin was rooting for Brexit as a way of undermining European unity. He was speaking to Mark Urban at the European House and Brazetti Forum at Villa d'Este in Italy. Now, Georgetown University in Washington has announced plans to apologise for its role in the slave trade by offering preferential treatment to the descendants of certain slaves. In 1838, nearly 300 men, women and children were sold by the institution to clear the college's debts. Now it wants to redress the past in the form of help with admissions of their descendants, the same kind offered to children of alumni. Here's how a Georgetown president announced the move. Other US schools, including Harvard and Virginia, have acknowledged the debt they owe to slavery, but Georgetown is thought to be the first to offer to attempt practical amends. Is this the right way to go about redressing such historical wrongs? Joining us.
We are guilty for the sins, the very real sins committed by our ancestors, and I don't think we should be compensated for those sins inflicted upon them.
But it has nothing to do with guilt. You can't inherit guilt. You're absolutely right. You cannot inherit the guilt of your forefathers. There's no one around today who was a slave owner.
Yeah.
This is about money. The money was inherited.
And I disagree.
And they offer lots and lots of people.
No, and I disagree with that as well. I disagree with the idea that just because your ancestors are alumni, you should have easier access to university.
That's part of the American system. All they're doing
maybe, but
they're extending it.
I condemn it for both groups.
David, just unpick that for a second, because if you think this is about money, it is about the inherited wealth, is that the right gesture? I mean, why don't they, if they've got these great records, pay out the descendants of everyone who they sold or they trafficked, instead of trying to create a system of admissions, of having money that could have gone to you, went elsewhere? Is that not worth tracing
Well, I think we're talking about two...
sense, perhaps, if you are part of that community who, knows that they've been given access, what happens if you think that everyone is looking at you thinking that they're only here because they're descendants of slaves?
But university...
PR coup by an American university who wants to, do the right thing.
I think it's genuine. Look at the words they're using: redemption, atonement. It's not...
Thanks for coming in. When Donald Trump went to Mexico a little earlier this week, some thought he might be rowing back on his rhetoric about immigrants and about building a wall across the border. But no, in a speech just hours later, you'll remember he made clear his stance was as combative as ever. Multi-Grammy award-winning singer Leela Downs grew up both sides of that border between the US and Mexico. Secunda Kamani has been speaking to her about Trump, about her role as an activist in Mexico, and about her music. Amazing, Leela Downs. Well, that's it for tonight. But in the week that J.K. Rowling went to war with the Corbynistas on Twitter over who should lead the Labour Party, we thought that getting into a scrap with one of the country's most influential authors probably wasn't a good idea, as we discovered when Warner Brothers gave us a sneak peek of the next Harry Potter movie. Good night.